Your job was never your security. Here's what is welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft and loving every second of it. Today, I want to share insights from an incredible conversation I had with Satoya Smith, a visionary who is literally rewriting the rules of economic empowerment for Black women. Satoya isn't just talking about entrepreneurship, they're architecting entire ecosystems that transform systemic exclusion into generational wealth. They're proving that when Black women shift from survival mode to ownership mode, we don't just survive, we build legacies that outlast the very systems designed to break us. Their work is revolutionary, disruptive, and deeply necessary. And what they shared with me is going to shake everything you thought you knew about job security, financial freedom, and what it really means to protect yourself in this economy. So let me ask you something that might sound completely wild at first. What if I told you that the worst thing happening to Black women right now, the thing that's stripping away our jobs at three times the rate of everyone else, is actually the best thing that could ever happen to us? Stay with me. I know that sounds provocative. I know it sounds like I've lost my mind. But here's the truth Satoya Smith shared with me. And it's a truth that's going to wake you up in ways you didn't expect. Right now, in 2025 and 2026, Black women are losing jobs at three times the rate of other women. Three times. We're talking about 113,000 fewer jobs, a 30% drop in federal roles, while everyone else is seeing an 11.6% decline. We're being pushed out of education, out of care sectors, out of government positions, the very places we've been holding down, carrying, sustaining for decades. And on the surface, that looks like devastation. It looks like erasure. It looks like proof that the system never valued us in the first place. But here's where it gets interesting. And this is where Satoya's insight becomes revolutionary. This isn't just a crisis, it's a signal. It's the canary in the coal mine, warning us that the traditional employment path, the one we've been taught to trust, the one we've sacrificed our peace for, the one we've built our identities around, is fundamentally broken. And Black women, as always, are the first to feel the tremors. But instead of waiting for the system to fix itself, instead of begging for a seat at a table that keeps collapsing under the weight of its own inequity, Black women are doing what we've always done. We're building our own tables, we're pivoting to entrepreneurship. We're creating businesses that don't just replace lost income, they generate generational wealth. They create freedom, they create options, they create legacy. And that's not just survival, sis. That's revolution disguised as resilience. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Really sit with it. We've been conditioned to believe that a good job equals security, that climbing the corporate ladder, securing that government position, working in education, that's the path to stability, respect, and financial safety. But what happens when that ladder gets pulled out from under you? What happens when the system that promised you security decides you're expendable, that your decades of service don't matter, that your expertise can be replaced or eliminated with a single budget cut? You're left scrambling, right? You're left wondering what you did wrong, replaying every performance review, questioning why your hard work didn't protect you, why your loyalty wasn't enough, why being excellent wasn't sufficient armor against being discarded. But here's the counterintuitive truth Satoya Smith helped me see, and I need you to hear this with every fiber of your being. Your job was never your security. Your skills are, your vision is. Your ability to create value, to solve problems, to serve your community with excellence and intention, that's your security. And when you build a business around that, when you stop trading time for money and start building systems that work for you, even when you're resting, you become unfireable. You become unlayoffable. You become the architect of your own financial future. And nobody, no budget cut, no political shift, no organizational restructuring can take that away from you. Let me share some stories that prove this isn't just theory or motivational fluff. These are real examples of Black led organizations and entrepreneurs who turned barriers into empires, who looked at systemic exclusion and said, not today, not ever again. First, let's talk about the African Canadian Civic Engagement Council, ACCC, led by President and CEO Dunia Noor. ACSEC received $1.5 million from Canada's Black Entrepreneurship Program in Alberta. Now, that's not just funding, that's a statement. That's an investment in possibility. Their mission: to empower Black youth and early stage entrepreneurs through training and mentorship so they can launch sustainable, revenue generating businesses that create wealth that lasts beyond a single paycheck. These young people were facing what so many of us face: systemic barriers everywhere they turned, no access to capital, no networks that looked like them or understood their vision, no clear path to scaling their ideas beyond the dream stage. But ACSEC didn't just give them a handout or a pep talk, they gave them a hand up. They expanded their ANZA entrepreneurship ecosystem program, offering deep mentorship, comprehensive business training, financial planning that actually makes sense, and guidance to turn ideas, real ideas born from lived experience and community need, into investment ready businesses. The result? Over 250 employment and skill opportunities created. Businesses that are now building generational wealth, not just for founders, but for entire families and communities. And here's what makes this so powerful: these aren't just businesses that make money and disappear into someone's bank account. They're businesses that reinvest in their communities, that advocate for equity, that prove Black youth success drives broader prosperity for everyone. ACSEC evolved from civic engagement to entrepreneurship support because they saw what was happening in real time. They saw Black folks losing jobs, losing hope, losing faith in systems that never protected them. And they said, we're not waiting for the system to save us. We're not begging for crumbs. We're building our own table, our own economy, our own future. Second story: the Black Business Ventures Association, BBVA, under Executive Director Deepo Ali. BBVA secured funding from the same Black entrepreneurship program to bolster support for Black led businesses in Alberta. Now, these founders were facing revenue gaps, investment gaps, higher lending rejections, limited networks, all the usual barriers that keep Black entrepreneurs from scaling beyond the startup phase. Banks saying no without even looking at the business plan. Investors passing because they don't see themselves in the founder. Networks that stay closed because you don't have the right last name or the right connections. But BBVA didn't accept that as the final answer. They refused to let systemic rejection become the end of the story. They created programming specifically designed for revenue ready businesses, offering skills, training that's practical and actionable, networking opportunities that actually open doors, and strategies to access global markets, not just local ones. The outcome? Entrepreneurs who are now equipped to scale, create jobs, and compete internationally, not as underdogs, but as equals. BBVA grew from community advocacy to a key player in Alberta's Black entrepreneurship scene because they understood something critical, something that Satoya Smith echoes in their work. You can't rely on a job market that doesn't value you. You can't wait for systems to change their minds about your worth. You have to build ecosystems that do value you, that see you, that invest in you, that amplify you. And then there's Viola Desmond. Now, Viola's story goes back to the 1930s and 1940s, but sis, is just as relevant today as it was then, maybe even more so. Viola was a Nova Scotia businesswoman who built a successful beauty products and salon empire in an era of brutal, unapologetic racial discrimination. She couldn't get a fair shot in the traditional job market. Doors were slammed in her face not because she lacked talent or skill, but because of the color of her skin. So she did what visionaries do. She created her own doors. She developed her own beauty products line, trained stylists who looked like her and understood her clients, and scaled a salon chain focused specifically on serving Black women with excellence and dignity. She launched Vi's Studio of Higher Beauty Culture and became not just a business owner, but a national resistance icon. Her entrepreneurship wasn't just about making money or achieving personal success, it was about economic independence. It was about refusing to let a discriminatory system define her worth or limit her possibilities. It was about creating space for herself and for other Black women to thrive when the world said they shouldn't even exist in those spaces. And that's the legacy we're carrying forward today. That's the fire Satoya Smith is fanning into a movement. So here's what Satoya Smith and these stories are teaching us. Here's the framework that changes everything. Entrepreneurship isn't just a backup plan for when the job market fails you, it's economic armor. It's the thing that insulates you against systemic layoffs, against being undervalued, against being pushed out when budgets tighten or priorities shift. When you build a business, you're not just creating income, you're creating options, you're creating freedom. You're creating a legacy that your children and grandchildren can build on, expand, and pass forward. But here's the thing, and this is critical, you don't have to do it alone. You're not supposed to do it alone. And this is where the second insight comes in, the one that separates those who scale from those who stay stuck. You have to leverage targeted ecosystems for scale. Programs like Canada's Black Entrepreneurship Program, which has $189 million renewed through 2030, are providing loans, training, mentorship, and ecosystem support to tens of thousands of Black entrepreneurs. Banks like RBC and BMO are offering tailored lending to Black founders, helping them become credit ready and investment ready. These ecosystems exist because people like Satoya Smith, people like Dunia Noor, people like Deepo Ali understand that community support beats solo hustling every single time. Think about it practically. When you're trying to build a business by yourself, you're figuring out marketing, sales, finance, operations, legal, customer service, product development, all of it alone. You're Googling at midnight, you're guessing, you're making expensive mistakes because you don't know what you don't know. But when you plug into an ecosystem, when you join a program like AXEC or BBVA, when you access mentorship from people who've already walked the path, when you tap into capital that's designed for you, when you enter networks that actually want to see you win, you're not starting from scratch. You're standing on the shoulders of people who've already made the mistakes, learned the lessons, and paved the way. You're learning from their experience. You're accessing resources that would take you years to find on your own. And that's how you scale. That's how you go from a side hustle to six figures. That's how you go from surviving to thriving to building generational wealth. And here's the third insight, the one that flips the script entirely. Turn barriers into multipliers. Despite all the financing gaps, despite all the systemic exclusion, despite every door that's been slammed in our faces, Black founders are projected to grow to 3.2% of Canadian business owners by 2034. That's growth, that's momentum. That's proof that we're not just surviving the storm, we're building arcs. And it's happening because Black entrepreneurs are collaborating with banks, with nonprofits, with government programs, and they're reinvesting locally. They're creating jobs in their communities. They're building wealth that stays in Black hands, that circulates in Black neighborhoods, that funds Black futures. They're turning the very barriers that were meant to stop them into fuel for their success, into proof of their power, into monuments of their resilience. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, but LeAnne, I'm tired. I've been grinding for years. I've been the strong one, the dependable one, the one everyone calls when things fall apart. I don't have the energy to start a business. I don't have the capacity to add one more thing to my plate. And sis, I hear you. I see you. I feel you in my bones. But here's what I need you to understand. And this is where the soft girl era philosophy meets entrepreneurial empowerment. Building a business doesn't mean you have to hustle harder. It doesn't mean you have to sacrifice more, give more, be more. It means you get to hustle smarter. It means you get to design a life where you're not trading time for money, where you're not waiting for someone else to decide your worth, where you're not living paycheck to paycheck, hoping the next layoff doesn't hit you, doesn't devastate your family, doesn't destroy the stability you've worked so hard to build. This is your soft girl era. This is where you drop the cape. This is where you stop being the superwoman who sacrifices everything for everyone else and start being the woman who builds something that serves her first. You get to say no to jobs that drain you, that disrespect you, that undervalue you. You get to say yes to businesses that fill you, that honor you, that reflect your true worth. You get to rest without explanation because your business is working for you, not the other way around. You get to build wealth while you sleep, while you play with your kids, while you travel, while you live the life you've been dreaming about instead of just surviving the one you've been handed. And let's be brutally honest for a moment. The system isn't going to save us. The data is crystal clear. Black women are losing jobs faster than anyone else. The traditional employment path is failing us in real time, publicly, painfully. But we're not victims. We never were. We're visionaries. We're the ones who've always turned nothing into something. We're the ones who've always found a way when there was no way. We're the ones who've built empires in the margins, who've created beauty in the breakdown, who've turned pain into power and struggle into strategy. And now we're finding our way into entrepreneurship, into ownership, into generational wealth, into freedom that can't be taken away by a budget cut or a political shift or someone else's definition of our value. So here's my question for you, and I want you to sit with this, really feel it in your body. What if your next layoff isn't a setback, but the universe pushing you toward the business that secures your family's future? What if losing that job is actually life saying, sis, it's time to bet on yourself. It's time to stop waiting for permission. It's time to build the empire you've been dreaming about in secret. What if the crisis you're facing right now, the one that feels like it's breaking you, is actually the catalyst for the legacy you're about to build? Satoya Smith is showing us the way. ACC is showing us the way. BBVA is showing us the way. Viola Desmond showed us the way decades ago, and her spirit is still lighting the path. And now it's your turn. Will you join ecosystems like the Black Entrepreneurship Program today to turn crisis into your empire? Will you leverage the mentorship, the capital, the networks that are waiting for you, that exist because people fought for you to have access? Will you stop waiting for permission from systems that were never designed to validate you and start building the life you deserve? Because here's the truth that Satoya Smith and I want you to walk away with today. Your job was never your security. Your vision is, your skills are, your courage to build something that reflects your true worth. That's your security. And when you step into that, when you claim that, when you build that, you don't just change your life, you change your family's trajectory, you change your community's possibilities, you change the narrative for every Black woman watching you, wondering if she can do it too. So take a breath, sis. You've been strong long enough. Now it's time to be soft and strategic and successful on your own terms. It's time to build the business that builds you. It's time to create the wealth that creates options. It's time to design the life that lets you rest without guilt, lead without exhaustion, and thrive without apology. The table is set, the ecosystem is ready. The only question left is, are you ready to claim your seat, not at someone else's table, but at the one you're about to build? Your empire is waiting, your legacy is calling. And sis, it's time to answer.